It's noon here in Ventnor City, New Jersey, and this is news that you can use from CarEdge for Monday, August 21st, with your hosts, me, Ray, and handsome over here, Zach. How are you today, handsome over here?
That's very kind of you.
Yeah,
All right,
well.
Pops, I'm doing well. Happy Monday to everyone. Abandoning car loans, this is worse than 2008. And before you hit us with, come on, guys, come on, more of the headlines. This is actually getting picked up more and more frequently in mainstream media, not just here on the YouTube verse or Facebook or Twitter or the podcast if you follow us there. The Wall Street Journal this morning, Dad, had an article, and we're going to dig into some of the numbers.
Yes.
The Wall Street Journal had an article. The headline read this: car prices might be unsustainable for buyers. This also could have doubled as today's really, you've got to be kidding me.
Yeah.
Where have you been, Wall Street Journal?
Yeah, well, maybe it's finally starting to impact some of the people that work there. I don't know.
Yeah, maybe it is starting to impact some of the people that work at the Wall Street Journal.
The key word in that headline, if you go back to it, begins with an M.
Might be.
There you have it.
Might be.
Might be.
All right, so here's the deal. So Wall Street Journal
didn't say it is absolutely unsustainable.
This is true.
Might be.
This
Could
is true.
be. Maybe. Perhaps.
Wall Street Journal did an overview of what's been going on with affordability of vehicles and also delinquency rates.
Yes.
The latest data we have on delinquency rates, and this is very interesting. Cox Automotive puts out a weekly market update, okay? The most recent weekly market update that included data on auto loan delinquency rates was from June 26th. They have stopped for the past 2 months providing the data that I'm about to show you. And I wonder why. I'm not asking that in a nefarious way. I legitimately wonder why, because every week prior to this, they would provide this auto loan performance update in their weekly updates. Again, the most recent update we have is from June 26th. The reason we're bringing this up today is on the heels of this Wall Street Journal article that's going to garner a lot of attention. The data from Cox Automotive Data reads this: auto loan performance resumed deteriorating in May as the seasonal improvement to delinquencies and defaults delivered by tax refunds ended in April. Loans that were delinquent by 60 days or more increased by 5.3% in May and were up 21.2% year over year. In May, 1.68% of auto loans were severely delinquent. That was up from April's 1.60% rate and was the highest May rate dating back to at least 2006. So we're talking about almost 20 years here, gang. Of subprime loans, 6.48% were severely delinquent, up from 6.18% in April, and the highest May severe delinquency rate dating back to at least 2006. The subprime severe delinquency rate was 113 basis points. That's 1.13% higher year over year, while the aggregate was 28 basis points higher. All right, Dad, you said it. Operative word is
might
be.
Yeah.
Seems like car prices might be unsustainable for buyers. I'm going to hit the air while you.
Okay, and so reading those statistics was very interesting and very telling. But I recall less than 48 hours ago, you and I did a live stream on Saturday night talking about the amount of negative equity that people had at loan origination, showing that loan to value rates that banks were lending against were higher, were going up again and were higher, especially loan to value rates for people in the subprime sector, where those lending institutions were lending up to 125% and against the value of the vehicle. And I can remember having to deal with people 5-6 years ago that were subprime borrowers, where the lenders would come back and say, okay, we'll finance 90% of the value of the vehicle, not 125%. And the reason they were at 90% is because these were subprime borrowers and there was greater risk, and they wanted to protect their asset, their collateral. And so I find it interesting that what Cox was showing back in June doesn't necessarily correlate with what we see happening today with these. So it's, might be. Apparently, it's not.
You've got to imagine. So the whole construct we operate on is credit scores.
Yes.
Your credit score dictates your capacity to take on new debt, new liabilities, new credit. And so what's interesting here is all of the data from Cox Automotive points to the worst auto loan delinquency epidemic we've ever seen. Like I wish I was being hyperbolic there, but I'm not. All of the data we have from Cox Automotive, the largest conglomerate in the auto space, shows that subprime auto loan delinquency is the highest it's been since 2006. Total auto loan delinquency, highest it's been since 2006. And at the same time, I don't have it queued up on the screen. We talked about it on Saturday night. The loan to value ratio, so the willingness of banks to lend above and beyond what the vehicle's value is still there. So we're seeing, it's like you would imagine that someone's credit worthiness would take a dive if they were experiencing delinquencies or if they actually had their vehicle repossessed. But on the origination side, we're seeing banks continue to originate. And Dad, I was going to save this for really, you've got to be kidding me. But we're actually going to jump on it early in the show because it ties into this. This was sent in by a community member. You can get in touch with us. I am Zach at CarEdge.com or on the community forum or on Twitter or on Instagram or on TikTok. This came in from one of our community members.
Okay.
This is Empower Federal Credit Union talking about their new Driving Sense auto loans.
Wow.
All right, so let's break down. Maybe this has something to do with what I'm about to show you. Maybe this has something to do with people still getting approved for auto loans and keeping the whole flywheel spinning. Dad, why pay for the whole car?
Why?
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 Like a lease,
Yeah.
Empower Driving Sense offers payments that are considerably lower than conventional financing. But unlike a lease,
Yeah.
the Empower Driving Sense, you own the vehicle and have all the flexibility and benefits of vehicle ownership.
Wow.
Look at this, Dad.
Yeah.
The example program. A vehicle with a loan amount of $32,600, a loan term of 36 months, and a guaranteed future value of $18,719.
Yes.
The conventional loan would put you at $1,000 a month payment, right? 6.49%. But with Driving Sense, Dad,
Yes.
you're only paying $540 a month because payments 1 through 35 are $540 a month. And then your last payment is $18,719.
Now, my guess is, this is just a guess, that if you don't have that $18,719 to put down today, you're not going to have it to put down on the 36th payment.
Is this not balloon financing?
Yes, that's exactly what it is. It's almost similar and reminiscent.
It's our $540 until your last
payment. Then you have the opportunity to refinance it. Okay.
Oh, yeah, you're going to pull out another loan because you're not actually going to be able to pay the $18,000.
Well, of course not. In the
just compounding
80s,
interest on interest on interest.
In the 80s and 90s, GM had what they called a smart buy.
Okay.
Which is similar to this. Same type of nonsense where the guaranteed future value is the guaranteed future value, or when BMW did it, it was like your guaranteed future down payment. You've got 3 years to save up for your down payment.
Which, to be honest, if you do the math, ends up costing you more than if you had just done the original financing
of course.
on the original loan. Yeah,
of course,
because they gotta make money.
Yeah. Now on the smart buy, if I remember correctly, you weren't necessarily responsible for the guaranteed future value. But I do remember sitting down with customers and asking them the question, did you want to take a peek at the at GMAX smart buy, or did you want to stick with the conventional dumb buy? Just tell me how you
got
want
a lot
proceed.
of closes on that smart buy, I'm sure, with that line.
Well,
but Dad, is this not? So we're talking about consumers are abandoning car loans at rates we have not seen since 2006. At the same time, financial institutions are finding ways to approve loans above up to 25% above the vehicle's actual value for those that have the lowest level of creditworthiness in our system.
Yeah.
And we're able to find from community members sharing things like this that help perpetuate the monthly payment spiral of death.
Yes.
Until you realize that you actually owe $20,000 on your last payment.
Yeah, that deferred down payment's going to kill you.
Man,
when that deferred down payment comes due, that's going to kill you. And yes, I saw when I was at Mini and they have the balloon financing, but it had to be over $30,000, at least in Maryland at the time. People would sign up for it because all they focused on was their monthly payment. And they didn't think about how they were going to handle that deferred down payment that was going to be due in 3 years.
All right, so let's hit on this for a second, Ted. If we're seeing folks abandon their car loans, we've got folks like Igor in the chat
Yeah.
saying, for the last several months that I've been going to dealer auctions like Mannheim and Odessa, I see roughly half of the cars at the auctions being repos. So if these people who are typically payment buyers,
Yes.
payment conscious, are those the folks who sadly we're seeing, again, the data, this is not me prescribing it, the data is showing that those individuals are seeing their vehicles go into loan delinquency and ultimately repossession.
Yes.
The quality of those vehicles is probably going to be quite low, because if they're focused and fixated on monthly payment, what's the likelihood that check engine light just stays on?
Well, if they're having great difficulty in making the payment itself, well, and they're probably having difficulty in being able to afford the fuel for it, well, they certainly are having difficulty in handling any maintenance that it might need, and because of that, they're not doing it. It's just, I mean, repos typically are not the cream of the crop. They are, as I refer to, the cream of the crap. You know, if people can't take care of their vehicle, by the time it gets repoed, and they know it's going to get repoed because they know they're 60, 90 days behind on their payment. They know what's about to happen. You know, they haven't done anything to the car that they should do, because why should I? The bank's only going to take it anyway. So you have to be careful as a dealer at the auctions buying repos. And certainly as a buyer, the ultimate end user, buying a vehicle that had been a repo, because obviously some of these dealers might not do all the required maintenance and reconditioning. We've seen vehicles.
I mean, heck,
on
even
lots.
if the dealers do the reconditioning, it might be more than they had bargained for, and
Oh, sure.
they might cut some corners. I mean,
Might.
let's be honest.
That's like that headline.
Might be.
Yeah.
Let's be honest. The customer who owned the vehicle was cutting their corners. The dealer
Cutting every corner.
Cutting every corner.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is interesting. The number of repoed vehicles that have made it back into the market has not been some explosion yet. It's returned to pre-pandemic levels.
Yes.
All of the auction check-in data that we get from Cox shows that repos have returned back to their pre-pandemic levels. It's just fascinating to see that the mainstream media, the Wall Street Journal now, is taking note of car prices might be unsustainable. There are no longer a sub $20,000 new car on the market. There's no longer a sub $20,000 new car.
The Mirage will be leaving America's shores.
And we saw that the latest data from IC Cars showed that there are no under $10,000 used cars. The used
less than a tenth of a percent.
So we've got we'll see how long the banks can continue to just lend freely, because we also seen data from the Fed showing that there's tightening happening, supposedly.
Exactly.
There might be tightening.
There might be tightening. You know, we see articles that suggest there's tightening and greater adherence to the loan guidelines. And then the very next day or a couple of weeks later, you'll see the article about banks are back to lending 140, 150% loan to value ratios. Subprime lenders are lending upwards of 125% of the vehicle to people that they already know have bad credit and have bad payment histories. So who are you to believe? Is there really credit tightening, or is it just business as usual with BS headlines suggesting there might be this or there might be that?
Might be, Pops. Might be.
It might be a BS headline.
Let's jump here, Dad. Scott, thank you for the contribution. Scott, appreciate the contribution. I actually saw and had flagged your message prior, so we appreciate the contribution. It goes a long way, but know that you do not have to contribute to get your questions answered with us. If you are eligible for the GM supplier discount, can you still negotiate more off of the price, not counting any rebates or incentives? I'll speak briefly to this from our recent experience doing the CarEdge sales event up in Staten Island with the Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Ram, and Subaru dealerships. At that dealership, if you had the supplier discounts or whatever the heck they were called for CDJR, you were only able to apply that. Exactly. So we had a pre-negotiated CarEdge discount that was not stacked on top of, let's say we had $4,000 off a car, and then you could get invoice price. No, you were getting one or the other. So I think, keep me honest here, I think the dealer can do whatever the heck they want.
And so can the buyer. And the reason for the GM supplier discounts is it saves you the time and hassle of negotiating the price of the vehicle. The price is set. It's listed on the invoice as to what that supplier selling price is. So, and then you qualify for whatever other consumer incentives are out there at the time, but you can't negotiate a lower price than that set price. Now, you could go in and try and negotiate a lower price and never tell them that you have a supplier discount, and perhaps you end up with a price that's lower than the supplier discount. But if you go in and you tell them, I'm looking for my supplier discount, it's pre-negotiated. That's the price. So there you have it.
Hope that helps you,
Yes.
Scott. All right, Dad, I want to turn our attention to one other aspect of this auto loan conundrum, and then we can switch gears and talk about a few other things. Credit Acceptance Corporation increased their latest asset-backed securities deal. So we talk about this from time to time, and we're going to break down some of
Are these the people that are still doing 125% loan-to-value ratio on subprime
I have no
loans?
data on if
but they are the largest subprime lender out there.
So here's what everyone needs to understand. What's in it for you, and why are we talking about this? So when these financial institutions write paper, so they give people loans, what they do is they'll bundle those loans into cohorts and groups, and then they will sell off those loans as packages called asset-backed securities. Essentially, it's a traded security that's backed by an asset, in this case, auto loans, or they actually have one of their ABS deals, Dad, was just on the service contracts, extended warranties that they sold. And then, do you want me to go here?
Well, just so for Scott. You can continue to talk.
I lost it, man. With GM, a dealer is required to sell at supplier to get supplier dealer allowance. They can choose to sell lower, but do not qualify for the dealer allowance. There you go. Where was I going?
Cohorts and ABS, asset-backed securities, that they turn around and
they bundle them. They bundle them, and then they sell them off so they can get capital today at a discount relative to what the asset will be worth at the time of maturity. So, like, for example, if I have a loan, I can make my interest on that loan 20% or whatever it is in the subprime space, or I can sell it today for 15% and make the money today, and then
whatever it is.
So we are seeing more and more of these subprime ABS deals. So essentially, I've got $1 billion worth of loans that I've written, and I want to trade that. And that $1 billion worth of loans at maturity could be worth $1.25 billion. But instead of holding on to it, I'm going to sell it for $750 million
today.
We are seeing more and more of these deals, Dad.
Yes.
Previously issued $400 million. They've issued $1.2 billion in deals recently. I find this to be fascinating, Dad. They also just do service contracts, sales contracts. So you've just got more and more money from Santander, from Credit Acceptance Corporation. Westlake was also in here as well. Just shipping off, just saying, okay, we're good. Someone else hold on to the bag of all of these loans that we've written. I find that to be fascinating.
We'll take 75% or 60% of what the value of these loans is today.
You have to deal with, do people actually pay?
I'll pay you on Tuesday for my hamburger if you buy me a hamburger. I mean, it's just they know what they've got, and they're willing to take a discount in order to get it.
I love when we see stuff like this because it just signals to me what's going on behind the scenes. Maybe they need working capital, which if you are credit
to make more loans, which at 125% loan to value ratio,
and also because you have to put money aside for loan loss provisions, which we've seen go up through the roof. Okay, anyway, we won't get too far down on the rabbit hole of ABS and whatnot, but it is fascinating what's happening behind the scenes. All right, let's jump to Leon's comment here and a few other stories for today's show. Leon says CNBC this morning said OEMs were stockpiling ahead of the strike. That's why days supply is growing. Laugh out loud.
Yeah, sure. Yeah. Is that why day supply is growing at the Kia, Hyundai, Honda, Toyota? Oh wait, it's not growing there. I am sure that was part of it. But if that was truly part of it, then I don't know. Why did General Motors shut down their truck plant in Fort Wayne for 2 to 3 weeks?
Year,
Or, so There could be some validity to that.
Oh man, it's
th-
just a PR spin.
You know, are the big three figuring that there's going to be a strike? Yes. Um, are they hopeful that if the strike lasts a long time, that all these cars that they built that they couldn't sell will suddenly be the only cars that are available, and so at that point they will sell? It could be a hope.
Yeah,
but I don't think it's much more than that.
I think that's a PR spin. That's what you're going to hear.
Yes.
Strike says rain, Zach.
Yes.
It's with an H, but that's okay. We've had some discussions in the comments on your last video. Why don't repos contribute to the used car market inventory? They absolutely do.
They do. They're even though we talk about repos are up, and it's still not that significant in the grand scheme of things. And they all don't hit at the same time. So even though it brings more cars back into the used car market, it doesn't bring them all back at once. And so it has limited impact.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And we are talking about repos going up to pre-pandemic levels, but used vehicle inventory is down way below pre-pandemic levels. So you've got a balancing act there. I love Leon's comment here. Stellantis must be planning on a 6-month strike, if that's why.
Yeah, apparently. And maybe that's why they raised all their MSRPs.
Yeah, in anticipation
of that 6-month strike, so that somebody's going to go out there and buy one of those Grand Wagoneers for $120,000.
All right, did you want to do the GM news, or can we switch to our favorite segment? What do you want to do?
Well, I just wanted to touch on one thing about the GM news.
Yeah, I'll put it up on the screen.
Okay, and which actually probably falls into the really you got to be kidding me.
All right, say the ad lib.
Okay, really? You got to be kidding me.
All right. Okay. We'll start with the GM news.
Yeah,
what's going on here?
Okay. So GM is going to eliminate 200 engineering positions in an effort to reduce complexity. Scroll down. Oh, sounds great. Scroll down. Keep going. Next paragraph. GM CEO Mary Barra said on GM's second quarter earnings call in July that the company is launching a strategy called Winning with Simplicity, which is expected to lower design and engineering costs and reduce complexity in vehicle orders in vehicle orders and manufacturing. Really? So the whole concept, it took you 100+ years to figure out that if we come up with this 3-word slogan, winning with simplicity,
it'll reduce complexities.
It only took them 100+ years to figure this nonsense out. So we're going to reassign 200 engineers because those are the son of a guns that have just made it too complex. And so we need to become a much more simple company.
Cutting their trim levels in half. I endorse that. Let's move to our next, really, you've got to be kidding me. Pops, we have a video coming out later this week talking about market adjustments, dealer add-ons, markups, things like that. Here we go, Pops. Toyota dealer claims that it must charge at least $3,994 in add-ons due to, quote, market conditions. A letter taped to a desk warns customers that their car will have a minimum $4,000 in non-negotiable add-ons. We've got an unobstructed view of that letter right here. Give me a quick second.
We'll give you all the time you need.
All right, gang, let's zoom on in on this and let's read it all together. Do not remove from desk. As of September 8th, 2022, Schaumburg Toyota new car pricing disclosure. Due to the current market conditions regarding inventory and in the interest of retaining all current employees, we have had to increase our new car and truck pricing as follows. All new cars and trucks are sold at MSRP plus a minimum $3,994 in predetermined aftermarket products. Ask your sales professional or any sales manager for additional details. We hope you understand our circumstances and your loyalty is very much appreciated during these difficult times.
Yes, warmest regards.
I'm going to give this is September 8th. Hopefully this has changed.
September 8th, 2022.
Yeah. So a year ago. Hopefully this has changed.
Yes.
Hopefully this has changed.
I don't know if it has, but I would have to believe that as part of that $3,994 in predetermined aftermarket products comes that Toyota endorsed KY jelly.
Dad.
Okay, well, come on, man. I mean, we've got to charge a
NHTSA
fourth.
opens query into Ford's handling of the Mustang Mach-E recall.
Okay.
This is another interesting one, Dad. NHTSA has had an open recall for the Mustang Mach-E. The vehicles, the Mach-E can actually just lose power while it's driving because the battery overheats. Let me pull this up here so you can see it.
That's always good.
There have been no reports of injuries, fires,
Thank
or anything like that.
Yes.
Where was it? It says it. Yeah, complaints alleging a high voltage battery main contactor failure in 2021 and 2022 Ford Mustang Mach-E's. And it said it in here. Where was it? Yeah, right here.
Yeah.
The high voltage battery main contactors in those vehicles could overheat, leading to a malfunction that could cause the vehicle to either not start or immediately lose propulsion power while in motion.
Wow.
Now, NHTSA, there was a software update from Ford that supposedly resolved this. Customers continue to complain that it was not solved. NHTSA has now opened up an inquiry into how Ford handled this. Ford leads the league in recalls.
For a reason.
Ford's Mach-E inventory is building up and not selling. Then they have a recall, they handle the recall, and now they're under investigation for not handling the recall.
For the way they handled the recall. Do you really think that overheating at the contactors would be a software issue? I mean, how is that I don't know. I'm not an engineer, but I do know that there's about 200 engineers at GM that are probably could be looking for jobs, and it sounds to me like you need some of those GM engineers because the complexities involved in your automobiles haven't risen quite to the level that you need.
Some interesting, really, you got to be kidding me.
Yeah, I'm afraid so.
We're going to look at the data really quick. I do want to mention that back on CarEdge.com, we have just started our August promotion. So if you're interested, everything is 20% off.
Whoa.
CarEdge Data is 20% off. Console calls are 20% off. CarEdge Coach subscription is 20% off, and we have $100 off on our extended warranty as well. So everything, the end of August promotion is live back at CarEdge.com. But the reason I came to the website is not so I can.
And when does that run through?
End of the month.
End of the month, not Labor Day?
Maybe Labor Day.
Okay, I'm just trying for you, folks.
Check with James.
I'm trying for you.
What I wanted to look at here, Dad, was that Mach-E.
Yeah.
Let's see. Mach-E. Because I'm just curious what the day's supply of Mach-E's are around here.
Yeah.
Let's see. 177 days.
Well, yeah, they're selling like hotcakes. Yeah.
177
13
days.
sold in the last 45 days.
That was for a premium rear wheel drive. Let's look at a premium all-wheel drive.
Yeah.
211 days on the all-wheel drive.
Yeah, buddy. These
GT all-wheel drive.
Okay.
This one looks pretty cool.
Oh, yeah.
236 days.
Yeah. Yeah. Veritable heat-seeking missiles, ladies and gentlemen. I mean, they are just taking off.
Oh my God, this yellow one.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, back to Ford. The fact that they can't sell and then they have this type of issue. It's not a good look.
They're not the only ones having issues with selling EVs.
No, that seems to be a theme across the industry.
Yeah. The only one who doesn't seem to have that issue is Tesla, and even in their more expensive models, they've had a recent price decrease in those.
Yeah,
I guess that was to counteract Lucid's decrease in the price.
We didn't queue it up for today's show, and we won't dig into it too much. But I read, and I don't feel 100% confident in this because I didn't read enough on it. But I think, Dad, they did those price drops and the range drops on their entry-ish level options, and it's just software blocking the range capacity, which I really hate.
Yeah,
like the hardware.
Because if it's in there,
I'll have to do some more reading about it. And we can talk about it later this week on the show once I feel confident in my facts.
Just the facts. Just the facts. Yeah.
All right, CarEdge.com, all the different resources, different things that we can do. Again, we've got the end of month promotion. It started today. Thank you, James, for kicking that off. If you're not on the newsletter, we have a weekly newsletter that Justin maintains. Thank you, Justin. And we'll be back on
Thursday.
Yes.
Zach, my dear son, Handsome here, is traveling the next. He's leaving later today to go to DC, and then he's got a couple other stops to make, and it's a very big travel week for him.
Big travel week, but all good stuff. So thank you, everyone, for your ongoing support, and we'll be back on Thursday.
We will indeed. Yes. Thank you, everybody. See you Thursday at noon Eastern, 9 Pacific, 8 a.m. in Anchorage, 6 a.m. in Honolulu. And for all our maniacs in Manila, It's midnight.
Do you think
in
they
Manila.
want to be referred to as maniacs?
Well, if they're following us, they gotta be.